to the live question and answer session here on the Living in Utah channel. I am here approximately every Thursday evening. It's an opportunity. You're welcome to ask whatever questions you may have. If you are joining us from the local area or another state, or maybe from another country, by all means, go ahead and shoot some questions at me, and we will definitely answer them. In the state of Utah this week, it has been sunny. We're in like the 40-degree range. A little bit of a storm supposed to be coming through tonight. I think we'll probably get some snow in the mountains, but probably not in the valley floor. I think that's the latest that I heard. So it's been very mild. There's no snow pretty much on the valley floor. Even in some of the higher elevations, some of the other cities, very little bit of snow around. So Logan, Utah had a fair amount of snow about a week ago, and that is actually coming down a little bit even up there. So it's the Jazz are an embarrassment right now. I hear they're looking to trade everyone but Donovan. I don't know what your thoughts are of him, but he's completely changed since year one and has hinted at leaving Utah. Yeah, the Jazz do suck right now. There's no doubt about it. They seem to go great and then poor. Great and then poor. I don't know what's going on. There's always going to be rumors on players leaving. Pretty much all sports now. It's rare that a player stays their whole career at one location. So, yeah, there could come, could go. Hello. How much would homes be if they're underwater? Oh. Okay. How much would homes be if W? I'm lost on that one. I'll have to come back to that one. Is this another dry winter? I am hoping for snow this season. Well, it started out October, November, December. We got a lot of moisture, whether it was in the form of rain or snow. Quite a large amount, probably above normal. But it has dried up since. Literally has just dried up. They're expecting some storms to come across over the last week, 2 weeks. We've had this high pressure, and it's like the storms have missed. So, yeah, it's been, now it's dry for 2022, but that can change because I've seen spring season with rain on top of rain. I mean, March, April, May, constant rain. So I've seen winters like that also. So the winters are definitely more mild than they were 20, 25, 30 years ago. I mean, I can remember back then where if somebody had a flat roof on a home or a business, they were up there with a snowblower trying to get the snow off with the fear that it might cave in. It's been a long time since we've had winters like that. And then I've seen parking lots where maybe 2 cars could fit in to a driveway entrance, and they would have nowhere to push the snow, and it would pile up, and that would soon shrink, almost down to maybe 1 car length, and then mounds of snow. And I've seen in years ago, like car dealerships running out of places to put snow. And they would bring in construction companies with big backhoes loaded up on dump trucks and take it away. So I've seen winters like that. Matter of fact, on Hill Air Force Base, they purchased a machine or 2 or 3 that they dump the snow into. And I believe it's like a jet motor. And they put it over a drain, and the jet motor melts the snow. So they get rid of it like that. But we haven't had winters where we really need that anymore. So With the West receiving less and less rain and lakes drying up, what are your thoughts on water scarcity in the future? I really worry about it with the growth that we have. There has to be some changes. There has to be changes. And there's a lot that the state can do that they are not doing, whether it's northern or southern part of the state. I personally would like to see desert landscaping. And one reason I bring that up, there's recently, and I believe the governor got in on this, there was an HOA society, and I'm not too sure what city it was, where I believe it was a new home built. And the man put in desert landscaping, and the HOA come along and said, nope. You have to have grass and trees and all this. He goes, no, I want to save water. And they said, nope, you have to put this in. So, and the fight went on. And I think the governor actually stepped in a little bit and said, hey, we've got to try to do something. And I don't know what the outcome of all that was, but we need to go to some desert landscaping. We need to reduce our water consumption. And one thing that's always been a pet peeve of mine, if you ever visit Utah or if you're in the state of Utah right now, look at all the new commercial construction that goes on, whether it's like a gas station or any kind of commercial building. Most cities require 10% landscaping. So they put in trees and grass, everything that needs water. And that's what they require. And I think that's just an old, outdated way of doing business. I think we should, if you want to make it beautiful, make businesses have 10% desert landscaping using no water. That should probably be in the code book. No water usage. So there's a lot of things we need to do along those lines as a state. The governor has said that he is going to address those issues, and he is very keen on desert landscaping. So there's a lot we can do that we're not doing as a state. I'm living in the Midwest in a town of about 10,000 people and like the size around us. Are there cities I should look at with 10 to 50,000 population? Well, pretty much most cities that you'll find in Utah will come in at that population, excluding some of the bigger ones like Salt Lake City, Ogden, Provo, St. George itself. But the surrounding cities, we have a lot of surrounding cities that you will find smaller populations. So when you take an area like Salt Lake City, for instance, you'll find smaller populations in like North Salt Lake, South Jordan, West Jordan, Draper. Those cities will have a smaller population. Not down to maybe the 10K level, but there are some around the area. Then we also have a lot of cities in Utah that are like rural cities, like Delta, Nephi. So there's areas like that also that is a smaller population. Only one, like, disadvantage of some of the rural cities is jobs and employment. So you're a distance away from where the main hub for jobs, in a sense, is in northern Utah, probably from Logan down to Provo, Orem, Spanish Fork area. So pretty much that whole area. So when you start getting out to areas like Delta and places like that, to commute into a job like in Salt Lake City or something would be quite the commute. So, but if someone is got a work from home job, that would work out, and then or maybe retired, but then sometimes retired people aren't too keen on those areas. If you need any kind of constant medical care and you're having to commute, say, into Salt Lake City to a specialist, and you're driving an hour and a half, 2 hours one way to go to doctor's appointments, it's sometimes a negative. So just in general, pros and cons of everything. Also, if you enjoy like some of the, restaurants, bigger movie theaters, entertainment, when you're in rural Utah, it's a longer drive to get into the Salt Lake Metro for some of those items. Costco, Sam's Club, some people's list. So speaking of that, recent article about Utah's population growth. Another article came out. There's always articles coming out, and everybody's got different figures. But basically, in a nutshell, Utah's population is projected to increase by 2.2 million people in the next 40 years. So by 2060, we'll have an extra 2.2 million people, which is a 66% increase in population. So it put us at about 5.5 million residents. So that's what they are estimating. They estimate that by 2033, in another 13 years, we should reach 4 million residents. And by 2051, probably have about 5 million residents. Now, sounds like a lot of numbers, or a large number. And also, they expect 1.3 million jobs to be added over the next 4 decades to 2060. So, sounds like a large number. But when you compare it to, say, the state of California, I think is about 40 million residents. So even if we got to 5 million, it's nothing like what you'll see like in California. I was once told that our population here in Utah, we're about 3.2, 3.3 million. That is roughly the same population as Orange County, California. So Orange County, California, roughly about 3.2, 3.3 million, same as the population of Utah. So in like comparison numbers. So, all right. I watched a video on the pros and cons of Utah, and they noted Utah spends much less on teachers and schooling than other states. How are the schools' performance in general? Well, I don't know the exact numbers. But I can tell you that school performance in Utah is very good. When you look at ACT, SAT scores, Utah schools, and the amount of or percentage of students who go on to higher education, definitely ranks up there. Ranks up there very, very well. As far as money that is put into the school system, that does vary by county to county. So most of the money is collected via property taxes for the school system. And some counties push for more money to go to schools than maybe other counties do. So it is dependent on what county and city, etc., that you are in. Also, as to the amount of money that's going to the schools. Now, teacher pay, that has always been a topic of conversation. I know that the state legislature has looked at the topic, and over the last few years has made increases and tried to bring the salaries for teachers higher. But I have heard that we are, the pay is probably not as good as maybe some other states. And I don't know how it compares, right now. But yes, that has been a concern on actual teacher pay. So the governor also had a report out for 2022 about the economy in Utah for 2022, and they are expecting it to still be very hot. They are not anticipating at the moment of a downturn in Utah's economy. So, and I would take that to also mean unemployment numbers too. So, but all the reports that he gave were positive about Utah's economy booming. And I see that everywhere I go. I see the economy booming. So I talk to a lot of people in different industries, and it's very, very busy. I actually was just talking to a guy probably about 3 hours ago. It's in a commercial painting business, and he's got projects just lined lined up. So right now his guys aren't as busy, but he's got projects lined up. So new construction, building construction, companies moving to Utah, companies expanding in Utah, just growing everywhere that I travel. So, okay. Any other questions this evening? Great questions. I can also, when we are, some of those cities I mentioned on this here, if that, let's pull up a map here real quick. Idea of some of the rural cities that we have in Utah. So you get cities. Delta is actually a popular city. It always pops on my mind. People ask me about it all the time. You've got like Delta, Utah, that's down here. And you can see Salt Lake City and Provo. It's a little distance away. And there's quite a few, like Mount Pleasant, Gunnison, Richfield, Fillmore, Hanksville, quite a few as we're looking down here. You'll find a lot smaller population: Castledale, Huntington, Helper, Price, Utah. So there are cities that are outside. Now, as far as employment goes, you'll find the most of the employment pretty much from Logan, Utah. Actually, Logan is at about 1.7% unemployment rate, one of the lowest in the states. From Logan, Utah, all the way down through Provo. This is the largest area of employment. So in the state of Utah in one chunk. And then probably the second largest would be our St. George, Utah area, probably followed by Cedar City. Okay. I joined late. Sorry. How does housing costs compare to, say, Idaho or the southern states' average home values? Well, let's first of all talk on Idaho. When we're looking, it depends where you're looking at in Idaho, but if you are looking at the Boise, Idaho area, that is one of the fastest growing areas in the West, along with Salt Lake City. Home prices there are pretty comparable to Utah. It might be a difference of $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 on a similar house in the Boise area. You take other areas like Idaho Falls, Pocatello, Rexburg. Home prices there have increased enormously also. Probably a little bit less than you will find in Utah. Not considerably less. So not say six figures less, I don't think. Not at all. And my relatives come from the state of Idaho, so I do keep tabs on Idaho quite a bit, travel up there a lot. And but as far as other states go, so there are states that you can definitely find lower home prices than Utah. When you compare us to, say, Colorado, we are probably lower than, say, Denver Metro. When you compare Salt Lake Metro to Denver Metro, probably a little lower. When you compare us to states like California or areas like Seattle, we're definitely lower than states like that. But like New Mexico probably has lower home prices than Utah. The Midwest will have lower home prices than Utah. So, but sometimes it goes hand in hand with the jobs too. So where there's employment, et cetera, et cetera. But we definitely are not the lowest home price in the country. That's for sure. We're nowhere near that. So our home prices have increased. And a lot of that's been due to, basically supply and demand and the amount of people that are moving to the state of Utah. I mean, we're one of the largest, or percentage-wise, when you look at percentage-wise, maybe not actual numbers of people who are moving to the state of Utah, but when you look at percentage-wise, we are one of the fastest growing states in the country. So, and people need housing. And then the job growth here has just been phenomenal. And that brings people to the state, and they need housing also. So, on crime, what sort of crimes and what rates do you see? Is the opioid crisis as bad as it is here in the Midwest? Well, as far as crime goes, it is definitely, when we compare Utah towards the national average or other states, we are a lower crime area. But we do have areas in Utah that have higher crime than other areas of the state or city or county. And when it comes to drug use, similar. We, on a national level, we're probably lower than the national average. But there are cities that have higher rates than other cities. So we are not immune to it. But, like crime, I rarely lock my car. And my car's never been stolen, never been broken into, et cetera, et cetera. There are cities that I do go to in Utah that I do lock my car. So, but there are cities that, like the city that I live in, some other cities that I routinely could just leave my car unlocked, and I get back and it's still there. Everything is still inside. So, thoughts on St. George, Utah? Great area. Great area. St. George is beautiful. St. George is an area that is popular with people in Utah. They will have a home in the north and a home in the south. They will spend the summers in northern Utah and the winters in southern Utah. So you've kind of got the differences of both. In northern Utah, you experience the colder temperatures and the snow. In southern Utah, you have the extreme heat during the summer months. 115 degrees is not uncommon. So for many years, people would own two homes in the state and enjoy the summers up north, but enjoy the winters in the south. So St. George, Utah is a great place. It's known as a retirement community. Great area, great recreation, not as many jobs. And I have to say that very lightly, because sometimes people criticize, so we have jobs in St. George, but nowhere near the jobs that you'll find in northern Utah, especially in a lot of different fields. And I would imagine that the biggest reason is when a company is looking to move to the state of Utah, you want to go to an area that has available talent to work for your company. With so many retirees in the St. George area, I don't imagine that many people would be willing to come out of retirement to take a job with Google or Microsoft if they built a big establishment down there. So probably would like to stay in retirement. I don't know if it's because of COVID and whatnot, but it seems like there's a lot of homeless folks and some hoods popping up, a lot of minorities around Salt Lake City. I think some of the folks had to be bussed in. Possible. I mean, we've always had some homeless establishments, issues in a few different cities. What has happened that I've noticed is during the winter months, we see less homeless people. I think some of them will go south where it's warmer, Las Vegas or Phoenix. And we seem to get more homeless people during the summer months. And a lot of that's to do, when you're living outside and sleeping outside, it's awful cold in northern Utah. And in areas like Phoenix during the summer months, it's very, very hot to be outside all day in 115, 120 degree heat. So I think they ride the trains north and ride the trains south. I've noticed that over the years. Apparently, West Valley area is really rough compared to most of the other areas around as well. Yes, they when it comes to crime and things like that, they are higher on the list than other cities. In Orlando, but don't want to miss your live stream. Now drinking. Cool. Orlando. Is that temporary in Orlando, or did you move to Orlando? Teacher, thank you. We were in Southern Cal about 10 years from retirement, wanting out in a few years. So a lot of people want out of Southern California right now. Have a healthy equity we will be bringing with us. Looking for places to check out on spring break. Yeah, by all means. Yes. Check out the whole state. And if you got some questions or whatever, by all means, reach out to me. I answer what I can. And make sure you visit some of our national parks. Maybe take a trip up to Park City. Or even a drive through the Park City, Heber City, some of those areas. Beautiful, beautiful. And we've got national parks that are just fantastic. So definitely a great sightseeing trip. I hear Syracuse and West Kaysville, Utah had a bad mosquito problem and they spray insecticide. Yes. So the mosquitoes will live, next to the Great Salt Lake. So as you go north, the whole west area, all the way up. So there's no, whether it's Bountiful, Kaysville, Layton, Syracuse, Clinton, West Haven, Brigham City, all the cities along there. Willard. Some years the mosquitoes are worse than other years, but they do have like mosquito abatement. And you'll see on property taxes, some of the property tax money that's collected goes to mosquito abatement. And I've actually seen they fly by airplane, small little airplane, and they spray. And they also are out on four-wheelers. And so they have a whole group that handles mosquito abatement in each county. And some years it seems like they do a better job than maybe other years, or maybe there's just more mosquitoes in some years than there is other years. So, but you do. In the Salt Lake City area, the only area affected by inversion smog, it is probably the largest area we have, but most cities do get affected by the inversion smog. We have some inversion going on this week. Being, a more heavily populated area like Salt Lake City, it's also a little bit more of a bowl shape. They do seem to get a little bit more of it, but areas to the south and north also get some inversion also. And it can change. You can be you could be on a yellow red air day in Salt Lake City, but maybe in Layton, Kaysville, it might be a green air day in some areas or a yellow air day. And that's literally 10 to 15 miles away. Long time no see. Hope you and your loved one are doing great. I know it's a question answer, and this was no question. So let me ask a question. How was your day? My day has been great. It's some people may say I say this all the time, but I love this time of year. And I'm having a blast in January. I can go skiing. I can also go golfing. And it's a little chilly going golfing. I usually try to wait to the afternoon, but right now we have no snow on the course, most of the courses, and most are open. But then you can head to the mountains and you can have a beautiful day of skiing. So you can do both. You can actually do both. I can take the mountain bike out. I can go hiking. I can walk the dog. It's great. Great. Some people will not be out golfing. It's a little too cold for them, but it's okay for me. Vacation on Orlando and then to Miami. Today we visited Universal Studios. Oh, great. Are you seeing more conservative or Democrats moving from California, or is it pretty balanced? I am seeing conservatives moving from California. It's a little bit of a misconception. A lot of people feel that people who are leaving California that are coming to Utah are trying to bring the California values with them to Utah and change the state of Utah. And I find the exact opposite. The people that I talk to or have email conversations with, one of the reasons that they are leaving the state of California is because of what's going on in California, and they want to get away from it. So, yes, that's what I notice. And there's no official poll on that or scientific data, but there is a big push. I just did that video the other weekend. There is a big push around the country. People leaving Democratic states for Republican states. And I don't believe that if they're moving to Florida or wherever they're moving to, that they are trying to move there and change the state to how it was from whatever state they came from, New York, New Jersey, California, wherever. I think that with the lockdowns, the restrictions, the high property taxes, the high income tax, I think people have just reached a little bit of a boiling point and they want away from that. And you can pile on top of that the defund the police, the some cities that will institute laws that where you can shoplift up to a certain dollar amount and they will not prosecute you. Have you seen what's going on in California? I just saw on the news the other day, the trains. So the trains stop and they are raiding the trains, literally going inside the box cars, pulling stuff out and stealing what they want and leaving a mess. It looks like a city dump next to the train, all the scattered boxes and garbage after they've ransacked a train. Terrible, terrible. It was on the national news the other day. Probably Google it. The pictures are terrible. Hubs is a huge skier. He is Swedish and born on skis. Is skiing there relatively affordable for locals or more ritzy, pricey like Aspen? Okay, great question. Great question. So we do have areas in the state, ski resorts in the state that are pricey, no doubt. Deer Valley comes to mind. Park City Mountain comes to mind. Great, great resort. But they are also, when I mention resorts like those two, they are very, very high tourist attractions. They're nationally known. They're known worldwide. So when people think of Utah, they think, let's go skiing in Park City. And that comes at a price. Lift ticket prices, in my opinion, are spendy at those resorts. I personally do not ski at those resorts. Great resorts. If I had, friends decide to go there, I would probably go. I would spend the money, but in general, no. But there are resorts or smaller resorts. You can buy season passes for $850. I know a resort that you can buy a night skiing pass for like $275. When I was younger in my 20s, we used to buy that night skiing pass for like $150, and we would ski 3-4 times. You could ski after like 3 or 4 p.m. was what the restriction was, and had lots of friends, and we would just hit the slopes and have a blast. We got our money's worth time and time again. So there is affordable skiing in the state of Utah, and that same resort, and I can't remember the exact price, but that exact same resort that I mentioned had the nighttime skiing pass for $270. They have a season pass if you were over the age of, I think 75, maybe it's 70 or 75, somewhere around there, for like $25 or $30 for the whole season. Yes, you can ski during the daytime. Got a friend of mine, he's 92 years old. And that's what he keeps telling me when he calls me on the phone or whatever. He's like, Mike, we're going skiing. He goes, you've got to work your way up to the senior citizen pass. But it's kind of funny. He's 92 years old, still skiing. And I want to say it's like, he's told me many times, like 25 or $30 he pays for a season pass. But yeah, there is some affordable skiing, some great deals. If you ever move to Utah or consider moving to Utah and you're a big skier, usually the best time to buy a season pass is when the season ends, March, April time. That's usually the best deals. What percentage of home buyers versus home sellers do you represent? More home buyers than home sellers. I'm the guy from the Netherlands, by the way. Oh, okay. Yes, Amsterdam area. Okay, I do remember. If I interview you, can you provide a report of home sales dates, price, square footage, address, and reference of people you represented? Well, I can't give you people that I've represented because, it's kind of personal information in a sense. And I wouldn't want to give people's names and stuff like that out. But you follow my channel, you'll see many people that I've helped, and their names might pop up there. Yeah, and you're welcome. Yeah, I could have someone probably call you. I definitely wouldn't give you their phone number, just out of privacy, in a sense. $700 for value season pass snow base 21-22 if you bought last March. Okay. Yeah, I thought it was $850. It's even less than $700. That's what they were charged at Snow Basin. That's great because Snow Basin is a great resort. I actually ski Snow Basin. It was the host of the men's downhill skiing during the 2002 Winter Olympics. Great resort. So, yeah, $700. What a great value. Yes. So actually, I got a friend of mine that bought, I believe he paid $850. That's where I got that price from. He must have purchased his pass after March, I would assume. Similar to a season pass South Florida, if you're 65 or older in some counties, you can go to any gym free of charge. Meanwhile, others are paying $10 to $1,000 a month, depending on the gym. Oh, yeah. Yes, very true. Yep. Yes, you can get some great deals on skiing. Some of the premium resorts, not as much, but great resorts. It's definitely if you're a skier, you've got to ski like Deer Valley and Park City, have the whole experience at least once or twice. So, but as a local, I personally don't ski there. Great. Any more questions we have this evening before I call it an evening? It's been a great evening. Lots of great questions. Okay. I appreciate it. I will be back next week. And thank you for all the questions.